Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's class is yoga for total body tension relief. We're going to begin on our backs, but before we get started, make sure you subscribe to my channel for free yoga classes every week. Just come to lying on your back with the knees bent, the ankles right underneath the knees. Just stay here with the arms out long. Notice any tension in any parts of the back. Just be here for a couple seconds, noticing the quality of our breath these first few moments of class. This class is short, but it's all about tension relief, and one of the most powerful tools we can use to relieve tension is our own breath. So as you begin to settle in, you can start to gently manipulate the breath, making sure that your inhales and your exhales are getting longer. And we'll start with a couple gentle bridge lifts. Really press your heels down into the mat. You have the option to grab the sides of the mat with the hands for a little bit more traction. If not, you can just press the palms into the mat beside the hips or the heels. Take an inhale here. And as you exhale, just start to lift the hips off the ground. Again, pressing into the palms and the heels. Don't worry about getting up so high, just worrying about lifting those hips ever so slightly off the ground. If it feels good, you might start to lift even higher. Opening the low back, opening the heart. And then just gently release. Take a breath here. And as you're ready, come back into that bridge lift, lifting the hips up, pressing into the heels. And then gently making your way back down. Taking a breath. And again, lifting the hips. Maybe this time you interlace the fingers underneath you, shimmy the shoulders together, and come up on the shoulders to lift even higher, creating a little bit more of a back bend here. Breath is still strong. When you're ready, you can gently unwind the fingers and roll down onto the back one vertebrae at a time. We'll do one more bridge lift. Any variation is good. Maybe you want to take robot arms this time, pressing the elbows into the mat. Might be a little bit easier to stabilize. Whenever you're ready, just lifting. Sometimes I like to grab opposite elbows behind the head, open the shoulders and the heart. And gently make your way back down. Giving a little love to the low back by bringing the feet out wide on the mat and just letting the knees knock in towards one another. Should feel really nice on your low back. You can rest your hand on your belly, on your heart. One hand on each, whatever feels good. Just take a couple breaths. As we work through relieving tension in different parts of the body, we'll take some breaths after each stretch or pose, just to notice any changes in sensations or feelings or thoughts. If you'd like here, you can separate the knees once more and maybe just knock them over to the right and then over to the left. Windshield wiper the legs from side to side. Just one more time each side. And then when you're ready, you'll hug your knees into your chest, squeeze them in nice and tight, and we'll rock ourselves up to a tabletop position. I'm gonna face the other direction. Once you get to this tabletop position, just take some rocks side to side, back and forth, drawing some circles, maybe taking a few cat-cows. Again, working through the lower, the mid, the upper back. Any movement is good here, but after a full cycle of breath, we're going to come into a child's pose. And bring the big toes to touch, separate the knees as wide as you can, and then sink the hips back towards the heels and reach the fingertips long in front of you. You can rest the forehead on the mat, maybe massaging it, moving side to side. The more you reach the fingertips forward, the more you'll feel a stretch. Those muscles around the armpits. Your hips are beginning to gently open here. And while we're down here, we'll stretch the side body, so start to walk your right fingertips towards the top right corner of the mat, and then walk your left fingertips either beside those or right on top of your right hand. So really think about pulling that left hip back, elongating the left side body, breathing space into the side ribs. And then as you're ready, we'll take that to the other side, walking the left hand to the top left corner, the right hand beside or on top of that, and just start to pull that right hip back. This time finding length in the right side of the body. Begin to make your way back through center. Take the forehead off of the mat and just take your gaze gently forward. We'll start to slither forward into a puppy pose, stacking those hips right over the knees. You can keep the big toes to touch if that feels better. Just a short puppy pose here, opening the shoulders, and then bring the forearms down, drop the belly, untuck the toes, and you're in a Sphinx pose. As I shimmy my way back towards the center of the mat, squeeze the elbows towards the middle of the body, opening up the heart. Let the shoulders melt down the back. Really pressing into the tops of the feet here, just taking nice deep breaths. Lots of opening in the front and the back body here. And then as you're ready, just start to widen the arms so they're more like goalpost arms here. And just rest your right cheek on the mat, letting the low back relax. We'll open the shoulders even further, bringing the left fingertips in towards the left side of the body, and then gently rocking onto the right shoulder, not very far, just kind of bringing the right side body onto the mat. Maybe lifting up that left leg and planting it behind you, but if that's too much, just let it rest. You'll feel a really intense opening in the top of the right shoulder here. You're kind of leaning your weight in that direction. This is a stretch where you really want to find that sweet spot. You don't want to take it too far. Just breathe. It's really important in these tense poses. It's normal to feel a lot of tightness here. And as you're ready, just start to move back through center. Whew, take a moment to see how that feels in the right shoulder. And then bring the left arm out to goalpost arms. Take the right fingertips in towards the right side of the body and just gently roll onto the left shoulder. You can bring your right foot behind to the left or maybe just stack it right on top of the left. Again, feeling a really deep stretch, a really intense opening, and coupling that with deep breaths. Allowing the lungs to fill completely every time you inhale, and letting go of tension with every exhale, using the breath to watch that tension leave the body. As you're ready, start to make your way back through center and just rest the right palm on top of the left. Bring your forehead to your top palm, just creating a little pillow here. And take a moment to notice. It's normal to feel a sense of frustration after an intense stretch. Keep breathing deeply, keep letting go. And as you're ready, we'll start to make our way back onto our seats, maybe coming through a little baby cobra pose, and then pressing back through that child's pose, or just coming onto your seat, however it feels right today. We'll come into a nice, gentle butterfly stretch, Baddha Konasana, bringing the soles of the feet to touch. You have two options here. You can bring your feet into a wide diamond here. Just kind of round the body forward. This is great for any tension in the upper back. So you're opening your hips here, but you're kind of tucking your chin to your chest and also letting your shoulders melt, stretching the top of the neck and the upper back. If you want to keep this more in the hips, you can bring the feet in closer to the center of the body, as close really to the center of the body as you can. And then just start to hinge forward, keeping the spine nice and long. This will keep this stretch really in the inner thighs, the groin area. So before you move into a variation, make sure it's what your body needs. Make sure you bring your breath with you. Maybe taking a couple breaths in each variation. Just another breath or two here. When I'm trying to relieve tension throughout my whole body, I tend to do shorter stretches, but more stretches in one period. But you can always pause the video and stay in a pose for longer if you really feel you need to relieve some tension, some tightness in that particular area of the body. If you're ready, we'll start to move on, coming into a forward fold, Janu Shirshasana. And as you set up, just take a moment to feel that opening in the inner thighs. Bring the left foot into the inner right thigh and just square your torso over your right leg. Take an inhale to reach up nice and high. And on your exhale, fold forward. Let this look however it looks today. The knee can be bent, the chest can be touching the thigh. This will relieve some tension in the hamstrings as you start to elongate them. If you're feeling an achy back today, it might feel better to just bend the right knee a lot and just kind of drape the body over the right thigh. Do whatever feels good. One more deep breath here. And then as you're ready, start to come back up to seated. Plant the left hand behind the left hip. And come onto the right foot, reaching the right arm up and over the head for a gate pose, elongating the side body. And then slowly coming back to a seated position. And just take a moment here, notice how the right hamstring feels. Maybe start to flex and point through the right toes, stretching out the calf, drawing some circles, feeling some movement, some stretching in the ankle. And when you're ready, we'll move on to the other side, taking the left toes out towards the top left corner of the mat, or if you're not practicing with a mat, just take them out to the left side. Square your torso over your left leg. Inhale, reach up. And exhale, fold. Again, make this your own. Bend the knee, take your gaze forward, keep the spine long. Do whatever you need to do to make this feel good in the body. If you ever find yourself in a place where it's difficult to breathe, take it back a notch. Find that sweet spot where the breath can flow freely through the body. Just another breath here. We'll come back to a seated position, planting the right hand behind the right hip, and then coming on to the left foot, reaching the left fingertips up and over the head. Stretch the side body, and then make your way back to that seated position. Taking a moment here, noticing any differences in the left hamstring. Flexing and pointing through the toes, stretching out the calf, the top of the foot. Taking some rolls with the ankle. And then when you're ready, you'll keep this right leg just as it is, and just go ahead and cross that left foot over the right. So we're in a seated position here, and the left leg is on top of the right. Take an inhale, reach up, and on your exhale, fold forward. Keep the sit bones planted on the mat. Let your arms float forward. You'll start to feel a nice opening in the hip. And also feel an elongating in the low back. From here, you might walk the hands over to the right side. And then maybe over to the left side. Making your way back through center and walking the hands back into the center of the body. Go ahead and take your left ear to your left shoulder. And just relax here for a moment. We take that right hand to the right side, really relaxing the right shoulder. You have the option to take your left hand and bring it just gently to rest on top of the right ear. You'll feel a more intense stretch in the right side of the neck, even kind of coming down into the shoulder. And to intensify this even more, you can really point through those right fingertips, about a 45-degree angle. Breathing deeply. We hold lots of tension in the neck, so feel free to stay here. Keep the breath big. And then slowly let the right hand drop. Bring the left hand back to the left thigh. And gently just roll that neck down to center, tucking the chin to the chest. Take a moment here. And then slowly return to upright. And take the left hand out to the left side, Reach the right fingertips up and over the head. One more side body stretch. And then come back through center. Switch the cross of the legs, so this time the right leg will be on top of the left, or whichever cross you didn't do last time. This side might feel a little bit awkward, and that's okay. Take an inhale, reach the fingertips up, and on your exhale, fold forward. Again, reaching the sit bones down, keeping them planted in the mat, on the mat. Walk the hands forward. My right hip is a little bit tighter, so I feel this a little bit more intensely than I did on the other side. Just going with it, continuing to breathe. You might walk the hands over to the left. And eventually you might walk them over to the right. Eventually make your way back to center. And then come to an upright seated position. And just letting the right hand relax on the right thigh. Letting the left hand come off to the side. This time take the right ear to the right shoulder. Start to feel that lengthening in the left side of the neck. If you'd like more, take your right hand, rest it gently on your left ear. And if you're still looking for more, go ahead and reach those left fingertips out. Really reach them away from you at about a 45-degree angle. Breathe space into the left side of the neck. As you're ready, bring that left hand back to the left thigh, and bring the right hand back to the right thigh. Gently start to roll the chin to the chest, coming to center. And come to this upright seated position. Take a moment here. Just breathe. Notice any differences and sensations in the body. Notice where tension has appeared or disappeared. Resist the urge to label any tension in the body as bad. Just acknowledge that it's there. And when it goes away, resist the urge to label that as good. Just acknowledge that it's left the body. Couple more breaths here. And when you're ready, bring your hands to heart center. Thank you so much for practicing with me, for taking the time to do some gentle stretching, relieve some tension from the body. Namaste.